and welcome to another video. My name is Kray and today we are going to be redesigning that is, a bunch of viewer suggestions for characters they wanted to see in the Kids AU. And now if you're watching my channel, you probably know what the Kids AU is. It's basically my AU where the ancients and beasts and a bunch of other characters from Cookie Run Kingdom are teenagers or children, usually teenagers, but there's some younger kids in there too. And not all characters are just made into kids. Some characters have different backstories or different things that happen to them. And I have a lot of fun making content for it here on YouTube. And a while back, I made a short and a community post asking you guys for suggestions. So today we are finally getting to redesigning them. It took me forever, but I did it. Go me. Now, I am going to say there isn't going to be a lot of, art process talk in this video, but by the end, you'll be able to get a pretty good grasp on what exactly I'm doing. And so, with all that said, let's just jump right into it. So, we are starting off with Raspberry Cookie, because she has, the least, lore, who was suggested by this person. And I'm so sorry, but I could not figure out any ideas for Parfait Cookie, so she's just not here. Maybe someday, but I'm pretty sure she'd be just about the same. Anyway, Kids AU Raspberry is basically the same character as in canon, with the only major difference being more the laws of the Hollyberry Kingdom. In the Hollyberry Kingdom, it is actually discouraged for ladies to learn how to fight, as in it's completely outlawed. This was done by whichever one of Hollyberry's grandnieces was on the throne at the time in an effort to protect said Hollyberry Cookie, but ended up sticking. Raspberry Cookie is the character that acts like this is all, fine and dandy, but actually is really interested in learning how to fight and trains in secret with Raspberry Moose Cookie, her cousin. She is in a friend group with the ruling grandniece, whose name I don't know, and Jungleberry Cookie, who would still exist, and again, is generally the same character. But there would probably be some sort of bonding character growth moment with Hollyberry where they both realize that their kingdom's gender roles aren't just hurting them. By the end of the Hollyberry story, which is actually about Hollyberry Cookie, no more of this princess contest nonsense, these rules would be abolished and Raspberry would start leading the first female battalion. And I don't know, gets her cannon sprites or something. I am, however, replacing her with other characters in those Beast East episodes. I don't know what she's doing, but not only does it make no sense for her to go in this AU, even though I love it in canon, she was my favorite cookie when I started, there are also other characters who would make more sense in terms of the story I have. And no, I'm not telling you who. There isn't a whole lot of physical change with Raspberry either, except that the fact that she's, instead of wearing this suit coat thing, she is wearing a ball gown, which would be the more, normal style for Hollyberrians. And her hair is the exact same. I don't change hairstyles a whole lot. It's probably something I should change more of. But with that, we are done with Raspberry Cookie. I do really like her. She's not my favorite cookie anymore since I started getting more into the game, but I love her so much still. Now I'm doing the Flower City Trio, who was suggested by, who else? The person who had their profile pic as Chameleia Cookie for the longest time. These guys changed the absolute least from canon to Kids AU. There were no real story changes, especially since they're from the Chinese version of CRK and the global version has barely dipped into their story. And also because I just didn't really need to change their characters. I did, however, kidify them. Chameleia now being 16, Golden Osmanthus is 15. They're dating because I love the ship and it is mint cocoa levels of canon. And Red Osmanthus is 6, which sets her into the Bean character category. Bean characters are characters that I have made incredibly young, either for story reasons, personality reasons, or just cuz can. Red Osmanthus is just cuz can. The current confirmed Bean characters are currently on screen, because why not? But yeah, other than that, the only real changes are that they're all still in school and Red Osmanthus' whole boss fight would be removed. And also, Golden Osmanthus doesn't yet know how to make incense. I don't know why, but it feels like a fun arc for her, going from being really bad at it to being good enough to do whatever the heck they did in the story. Also, they've traveled together, not to the Cookie Kingdom, as that aspect, being almost completely irrelevant, is removed from the Kids AU. but to various places where these cookies actually live, like to the Creme Republic, where they meet both Espresso Cookie, not Madeline, this would be after Cookie Odyssey. I made a whole animation on this. And also probably our next group. And also to the other places, because that was the only interaction I remember. Also, I feel like I should mention that Chameleia Cookie is an orphan. But yeah, design-wise, they don't really change at all. The only thing is that, like, I removed Chameleia's coat, and I shortened Golden Osmanthus' dress, and I made Red Osmanthus' whole outfit. She had, like, the most changed design. You know, just, like, I made it more, you know, kid-friendly. And also none of them are wearing shoes. I don't know why I did that, but I got super attached to it. I just realized Chameleia is kind of balding. His hairline is going way back. Okay, and that is just about it for their design. So now it is time to move on to making their character sheets. Chameleia was the first character sheet I did, so we're going to talk about him first. Like I said, he is an orphan who pretty much just lives at the school. And I just realized I missed the opportunity to draw him with the little pigeon. Oh, that pigeon is his emotional support animal, guys. Trust. Little baby Chameleia. I say little baby Chameleia, even though, like, in actuality, he's, like, the same age as me, pretty much. But anyway, he is a people pleaser. He tries to make everyone around him happy and struggles saying no just because he's kind of scared not knowing why he was orphaned, and he doesn't want to risk it happening again, so he just falls down that rabbit hole. This comes through not only as him being a helpful person, but also that he's always got perfect grades and does tutor Golden Osmanthus in her harder subjects. He would also actually get along with Red Osmanthus in this AU instead of their one-sided rivalry, since she is way too young to be jealous of him, and also for other reasons I'll talk about in Golden Osmanthus Cookies section. Bringing her up, she's probably the only one Chameleia doesn't feel the need to please all the time. This ship is definitely the childhood friends to lovers trope. And also probably A fell first and B fell harder, Chameleia being A. I love my ship tropes, chat. There's so many in here. I've got enemies to lovers. I've got more enemies to lovers. Is my favorite ship trope, I guess. Chameleia would be a very play-it-safe character, again, stemming from his people-pleasing tendencies, and does not handle criticism well from anyone, probably either lashing out at them if they're his age or shutting down if it's an authority figure. And since he basically lives at the school, he eats most meals at House Osmanthus. For all these reasons, he's pretty popular, but of course there's always the minority that thinks he just likes Golden Osmanthus because of that popularity. Anyway, speaking of Golden Osmanthus, I'm finished with Chameleia, so she's next. Golden Osmanthus is definitely the most similar to her canon counterpart. Well, they're all really similar, but she's definitely the most similar. She's still really kind-hearted, but I also gave her, like, just a tiny amount of Red Osmanthus' spoiled vibes, since, again, Red is very young and hasn't quite gotten to her more spoiled but well-meaning personality. In fact, the only real spoiling Red gets is from Golden Osmanthus. Goldie loves to give her little sister random gifts, and that's what I kind of alluded to earlier. Red isn't jealous of Chameleia because she has this really special and cute relationship with Goldie. I also made her bad at school, like she'd be failing without Chameleia to help her out. Like, she works hard, but she's just bad at it. Oh dear. Golden Osmanthus is also not super independent, but has this really strict moral code that she will do anything to keep intact and will get mad at others for breaking her specific code. So when the Flower City authorities choose to stay out of the war, despite the weird stuff that's happening, she drags Chameleia on an adventure to fix the problem. How does she do this? No clue. Golden Osmanthus Cookie is just built different, I guess. Her and Chameleia will also most likely end up as unpaid babysitters, because just based off of what we know, the Flower City Guardians will probably also become being characters. When I'm thinking about how she acts with Chameleia, it's probably very similar to how she acts with everyone else, but just like a little more affectionate. She does really like him, but just doesn't want anyone in her family to feel bad thinking she likes him more than them. And House Osmanthus is massive. Like, I think I'm gonna give him an old pre-Beast concept for Burning Spice where they had like 6 or 7 siblings, and Golden Osmanthus is the oldest and wants to make sure every single one of them feels loved. But here's the Golden Osmanthus cookie character sheet, and I didn't actually make one for Red Osmanthus because A, this video is way overdue and I was losing steam, and B, she's 6 and I couldn't think of anything even remotely interesting, so we're moving on to the next group of characters. I had like 2 rules and I somehow managed to break one of them. We're doing the Triple Cone Cup Trio. These absolute goobers were suggested by 2 different people, actually. One of them actually did guess their relation to Espresso Cookie, and I was really hoping people would ask for them because I really wanted to design them since their lore is really concrete and their story is mostly planned out. You may notice, however, that currently Capsaicin Cookie is not on the screen, and most people have probably guessed why, but I'm not saying anything for a little longer. But there is a Madeleine cookie on screen because I wanted to use him as a Queen Amon reference. In case you didn't watch my one animation meme, or if you did and were confused, I have made Madeleine Cookie evil and the general of the White Masks. So in the Kids AU, Queen Amon Cookie replaces him as the Paladin Commander, and we'll talk about that more in her section. By the way, these guys collectively are like 17, except Prune, who I'm deciding if I want him to be 16 or 18. I want him to be a different age from the other 2, but I cannot decide which one. Speaking of Prune, here he is, and you can immediately see the main thing I changed about his design here. I mostly just like unfemboyed him. I do like his original design. I like a lot of those designs, but in this AU, like, there are people that don't play Cookie Run, and I don't really want them to get confused. And we'll talk about him more later, but here he is, Capsaicin, finally. Capsaicin, I'm one of those people who thinks that he is Burning Spice Cookie's son, and so in the Kids AU, they're brothers. Capsaicin Cookie is biologically Burning Spice Cookie's younger brother. I say biologically because we'll get into that more later. And fun fact, Capsaicin Cookie has had like 3 different designs. I've redesigned him so many times as the story has changed, and I've gotten better at replicating both the art style and just how I want him to look. They also have 2 middle siblings, being Nutmeg Tiger Cookie and possibly Chili Pepper Cookie. I'm still debating on that. But anyway, we are done with designing the 3 of them, so we're going to move on to their character sheets, where I will go into a little bit more on who they actually are. We're doing Queen first. Like I said, she is the Paladin Commander, freshly appointed by Consul Espresso Cookie just about a week after the Cookie Odyssey events end. It's one of his first official acts as Consul, and when he goes to scope out the Paladins to see who'd be the best fit for the job, he notices Queen, who is a lot younger than the other Paladins, but just as skilled. And something just clicks in his head, like, yeah, she's perfect. It took some convincing to get it past the council, but Queen ends up as the commander, a massive change from just being a trainee. So her main thing is feeling like she has to live up to all the expectations she has and prove that she is good enough for an important role. But she's got Captain Caviar Cookie, Financier Cookie, and Espresso Cookie to help her out. Gonna talk about this now to save Capsaicin's section for other things, but I am a Queen Saicin shipper, so of course that's here too. Queen really likes Cap, which is his nickname, and she is a hopeless romantic, so when a very socially awkward and fairly naive Capsaicin finally realizes he fell for her after forever of her hinting, they're both pretty happy. Queen is supposed to be a girl boss character, but like, not the way mainstream media is doing it. She's a strong female character, but she still has pitfalls and things she needs to overcome to grow as a person. She's not perfect, she's not the strongest around, but she tries. She also was definitely a Madeleine fangirl, but burned all her merch after the Battle in the Republic. When it comes to her relationship with Prune, she sees him as her best friend. They still meet during the Triple Cone Cup, and she treats him like a brother. Both the boys stay with her in the Republic, and both her and Prune inevitably go with Capsaicin back to Beast East, so they're all present in the Kids AU equivalent of Beast East 6 and 7. Queen herself is freaking feisty and hates taking no for an answer. Usually she is right about most things, so she tries to be right about everything. And her design hasn't changed a ton, just becoming a little bit more mobile while still keeping the cute pink aesthetic. She also has earrings because I made this right after Black Sapphire release, so I wanted to give it to her. And that is Queen Amon Cookie. And next up is Prune Juice Cookie. Prune, just like the entire trio, has a fairly different backstory here. It starts out the same, with him as a Parfadian student in the Triple Cone Cup, but here he wins, he might also in canon, I don't know, and just chooses to drop out and become more of an explorer and merchant. His traveling profession is my lore reason for swapping his robe for pants. He's even bigger on exotic ingredients here and goes all over to find the rarest stuff he can to brew potions. But during the new Triple Cone Cup story, he's in the Republic visiting Queen with one certain goal in mind when Cap shows up. His massive crush. Bro is pining for Queen and has been since he met her, but like I said earlier, Queen Satan is superior, so we've got us a wonky one-sided love triangle. I've said this before, ship tropes are the best. And this exact reason is why the boys originally don't get along. Prune sees that Cap is ruining his chances with Queen before Cap does, so he's kind of, understandably, pretty standoffish and even hostile, but thanks to my favorite, shenaniganery, they end up as buddies, and even though it takes a while, Prune accepts that Queen never really saw him like that and that they're better off as friends. The other half of Prune's character development is his inferiority complex. Both of his best friends are crazy powerful and super important to society. And then there's him, a potion maker. A really good potion maker, but nowhere near his friend's level. Basically his canon insecurities, but dialed up to 11. This is his longer arc that spans a lot more time and updates. His positive qualities, which I should probably mention, are actually his cynicism and his rationality. He is the single brain cell of the trio. And actually I can think of another trio from an indie show that's basically just these three. And that is Prune, and now we're going to my favorite of the trio. Capsaicin Cookie. Oh, Capsaicin Cookie. I cannot fit all of his lore into this short segment. This video is gonna be long enough as it is. Oh, but boy do I want to. He is easily the deepest character in this video. The only reason I didn't save him for last is because our next character has massive ties to a beast. Which he also does. Like I said, Cap is Burning Spice Cookie's younger, but now older brother. He was born way after Burning Spice, and he was 6 when Burning Spice got sealed, but due to the whole immortal childhood thing that the Ancients and Beasts have going on, by the time of the main story, Cap is actually a few months older. Oh yeah, Burning Spice is also 17, by the way. He also has 2 older sisters. One is Nutmeg Tiger Cookie, and the other is probably gonna be Chili Pepper Cookie. They will be, I think, 21 and 26 respectively. Also, Cap is massive, like, he's huge and bulky and not afraid of it. That's actually the inspiration for his character. It's what if he grew up seeing his powers as a good thing instead of a curse. But of course he's not completely trauma-free, because he blames himself for everything bad in his family's life. Their parents ran off after Cap was born, and Spice found the Soul Gem of Change while looking for them. And Cap also indirectly convinced Spice and his sisters to fight against the witches. But again, he was 6. But that doesn't matter to him because he sees everything as his fault and overcompensates by trying to keep his family together no matter what. He has separation anxiety when he's away from them, since the last time that happened it didn't go so well, and a ton of suppressed anger that he has trouble controlling. But he's genuinely the sweetest and most curious guy ever and just wants to actually see more of the world than just his home in Beast East. After Spice was sealed, Nutmeg and Chili decided it would be best to stay in their palace. At least I think it's a palace. So Cap grew up very isolated, and his only real company was his sisters. He's smart, but that lack of world experience makes him super naive. Queen and Prune give him that world experience, and once his self-blame is in his main drive, he starts to see that nothing was actually his fault and that nobody could have stopped it. And his smaller arc is learning to stand up to Spice after he comes back and starts using family sticks together to manipulate his siblings. He likes Queen, and Prune is his best friend, but I think it's time to finally do the last character of the video. And finally, we have Cream Unicorn Cookie. He was suggested by this person, and trust me when I say that when Cream Unicorn was suggested, I had 0 ideas. Because this character is kind of a nothing burger in canon, like actually. But then I remembered someone saying that Oven Break, Cream Unicorn had kind of a creepier vibe, and that's when it hit me. You see, I am giving all of the Beasts redemption arcs because I want to. And because of this, I'm also giving them all awakening stories similar to the ancients. And I also need more cookies of darkness to replace all the ones that aren't evil anymore. So Cream Unicorn Cookie is going to be the villain of Shadow Milk Cookie's awakening story. To the person who wanted me to do a Shadow Milk design, there's your little tidbit. The angle I'm going is that canon Cream Unicorn Cookie still existed in the past, because that's something I really like doing, and the theme park that he lived in is still existed. But after a while, it was shut down in favor of something better, haven't decided what, and Cream Unicorn Cookie was left behind, being the spirit attached to the theme park. Then there's a long time skip, and Cream Unicorn Cookie got angrier and angrier and started going insane from loneliness and isolation. Hey, what does that sound like? Eventually, Dark Enchantress Cookie finds Cream Unicorn and convinces him to help her. So, Cream Unicorn uses like mind control magic and starts attracting children to the park, including most of the major characters. All of the adult characters are completely unaffected because Cream Unicorn Cookie hates adults because they're A, the ones who locked Cream Unicorn Cookie up, and B, adults always made the kids, which Cream Unicorn Cookie loves, well, their parents always made them leave, like obviously, but Cream Unicorn Cookie doesn't care about that. The way this is done, I'm actually really, really proud of it. Cream Unicorn Cookie has so many lines about memories, like constantly mentioning them. So that's what our little friend uses. Memories, trauma, promises to these poor kids that have been through so much that if they stay in the park, they will be happy and safe. Combine magic with the fact that all these kids, the ancients, beasts, legendaries, dragons, pretty much everyone, they all want to be safe because most of them haven't had that in hundreds of years. And it's a pretty easy job. And I'm not telling you the actual story so I can have fun later. And that's Cream Unicorn Cookie. I like how this one turned out. Cream Unicorn Cookie looks really, really evil. And it's time, finally, for the outro. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. This is a much longer video than I've made in a while, so an extra thanks if you stuck around through the whole thing. There's actually only a couple submissions I couldn't get to, either because they wouldn't change at all or are part of a larger group that should have their own video. And this video is actually a really good excuse for me to do some lore and world building for the Kids AU. And with all that said, have a great day, everybody. See ya!